Welcome to the Everyday Warriors podcast, the perfect space to speak my truth and dive into deep conversations with others. This podcast is about celebrating everyday warriors, the people who face life's challenges head on, breaking through obstacles to build resilience, strength, and courage. Join me, your host, Trudy Marie, as I sit down with inspiring individuals who have fought their own battles and emerged stronger, sharing raw, real, and authentic stories in a safe space, allowing you to explore, question, and find your own path to new possibilities. Let us all embrace the warrior within and realize that while no one is walking in your shoes, others are on this same path, journeying through life together. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Everyday Warriors podcast. Today is a special day because it's our first birthday. I cannot believe it has been a full year since I first sat down, hit record, and started sharing my stories with the world. When I first launched this podcast, it was called the Talking Free Podcast, and it was a place for me to speak my truth, to use my voice in a way I hadn't before. It was raw, it was real, and it was very personal. But something incredible happened along the way. It evolved, and it became way bigger than just me. And that's how the Everyday Warriors podcast was born. It became a platform for everyday warriors like you to share your stories, your struggles, your triumphs. It became a space where voices that might never have been heard could be shared with the world in a safe space. And what a world it has reached. This podcast has grown beyond anything that I could ever have imagined. We have listeners in every corner of the globe: Oceania, Asia, Europe, Africa, North and South America. In more than 30 countries and 111 cities have tuned in. I have received messages from places that I never dreamed my word would reach. Messages of support, of encouragement, and even connection. And let me tell you, that means the absolute world to me. I've had the absolute privilege of speaking with guests that I may never have crossed paths with otherwise. People whose stories have inspired me, challenged me, and even changed me. And a little piece of each guest is now forever a part of me. And for that, I am truly grateful. So let's have a look at the year that was. Specific moments. While I cannot single out a particular episode or guest, there are two that I do want to give special mention to. The first is my husband, Steve. He joined me on our recap of my Cape to Cape hike in episode 18. And just him appearing as a guest and supporting this little project of mine just showed me how much he loves and supports what I do. The next one is episode 24 with Richa. Now, the number of downloads her episode received in 1 week excelled the number of my very first episode that I put for the year. And this blew me away. Like, seriously, where did those numbers come from? Challenges and wins. For me, the biggest challenge was learning the software for editing and realizing the importance of making sure I had the latest version. Otherwise, editing was super slow. It was also to have faith, as my download numbers dropped significantly around the middle of the year, and I wondered if I should even just keep going. But lucky for my listeners, I did. My biggest win was the day that I realised I had listeners on every continent, that this little indie podcast of mine was now global in every sense of the word. Behind the scenes. The thing I learnt most about was how I speak and how I listen. It was learning about the little quirks that we all say. The likes, the and I had to learn when to edit it and when to leave it be. And editing is so bloody time consuming. And I have to say, hearing your voice over and over and over is not that fun. I also learned that podcast numbers are based on the number of downloads and not just listening. So not just for this podcast, but any podcast you listen to, please hit the download button first before you start listening, because I know that all creators would be appreciative. Listener stories. One of the things I have loved is receiving messages from listeners, especially if they knew a guest or if they could relate to one of my personal stories or a guest story. Knowing I was making a difference enough to compel somebody to reach out and tell me made every moment of creating this podcast totally worthwhile. It made me realize how important it was to just keep sharing stories of hope. Reflection. This podcast has made me realize how many stories are out there waiting to be shared, waiting to be told. That everyone has been through some kind of challenge and overcome some kind of adversity. That there are lessons inside of everyone and that somebody else has endured, and that this podcast really does make a difference in sharing those stories. I know I have become a better listener in the process, and as someone who loves to talk, this really has been a beautiful journey. What started as a little side project has become one of my greatest passions. It has given me purpose, connection, and a drive to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep sharing. But none of this would have been possible without you, the listeners, the subscribers, the guests, the people who took time to message me, and the people who took time to share their thoughts. You are what made this podcast what it is today, and I love you all for it. So here's to 27 episodes and 1 year down, and so many more to come. I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for reminding me every single day why I do this. And while I rebranded a little while back, the first birthday did call for another refresh, and that was in my intro, outro, and support clips. I was using somebody else's music, but it was time for me to have my own custom music made, something that evoked a little of my Irish blood and the feelings of being a warrior. I hope you like it. There is a little sneak peek on this bonus episode, but you'll definitely hear more from episode 28 onwards. If this podcast has impacted you in any way, I would love to hear from you. You can leave a review, or you can send a message of your favourite moments. You can share the podcast or any of your favourite episodes and thoughts on social media. But don't forget to tag me. Let me know of any future topics you would like to hear. You can apply to be a guest, or you can tell me about a possible guest whose story you'd love to hear. Let me tell you, the line of guests for the next 6 months alone is incredible, but there is still availability on my calendar for you to book in your special moment. But most of all, I would just love for you all to keep on downloading and keep on listening, because honestly, the best is yet to come. So keep the momentum going, keep on sharing your stories, and keep on lifting each other up. Because we are all everyday warriors, and we all deserve our voices to be heard.